So in today's video, we're going to be doing disassembly. So we'll pull the exhaust off the car. We're gonna pull the exhaust manifold off the car. We'll pull the bumper, the headlights, front valance, intake tubing, pretty much everything that's not gonna stay for once we turbo it. And then next week, we will install the turbo. So first step in any sort of turbo, or well, in this turbo setup, is we need to pull the exhaust. To pull that, you're gonna have, there's 3 nuts on each of the downpipes that connect to our exhaust manifold. Oh, you make sure you unhook your oxygen sensor here, unplug that, so that's not connected. You won't have 2, mine has 2 because of all the testing we've done. So you'll undo the bolts there. I believe they're somewhere between a 15 millimeter and 17. They seem to be different based on if they've ever been replaced, okay? So then we'll pull those off, and then you very well likely might have a mount here. This car, I believe, the mount's gone. This might have been from an automatic exhaust, but you might have a mount there, and then you'll come back. There will be a mount that lives here. This car has been changed, so it's just got like a aftermarket hanger, but you normally have a little rubber hanger here to pull the exhaust, and there's normally going to be a rubber hanger up there. Okay, also missing on this car, and then there'll be one on the other side over here, and you can see it's also missing on this car. Okay, so you pull all those hangers down, pull the exhaust out. Okay, so we need to pull the exhaust manifolds off. There are nuts on the top of each one, and then the bottom, those are run a 12 mil socket, and then I use an extension about like that to pull those all off. So seeing as we're going turbo, we will not need the airbox, the intake tube, the stock intake boot will go away, and then your idle control valve piping will change a little bit. So screwdriver, 10 millimeter, and then that will all come out. So to install the intercooler, a whole bunch of the front of the car does need to come off. Depending on if you have an early car or a late car, this will be different. This is a late car with plastic bumpers, so it's similar but different than what you have. So on a late car, there are two, I believe they are big Allens here and then here that come off to pull the bumper. So you're just gonna pull those two out and then the bumper comes off. Then the valance will come off with about 87,000 nuts and screws all the way around. You'll need to pull the grills, the headlights help to come out. This little panel here, it makes it a little easier to come out, and your AC condenser, fan, etc., depending on if you're keeping AC or not, that will change based on what you're gonna put it back in. Okay, let's do that. So there, everything's pulled apart. Our exhaust is off, exhaust manifolds, front end of the car is off, the AC stuff is all off. If you are going to run AC with a turbo kit, ours or anyone out there, you can run it. You just have to run a really thin pusher fan in between the condenser and the intercooler. And you have to trim a lot more in the valance. A lot more of the valances that you cut. So we'll kind of give you a little tour here. This is all off. The headlights may need to come off. There's also just a couple Phillips screws because your intercooler piping with our setup runs underneath the bucket, and it might be a little easier to get to and to show you. So those might come off, but for now, or not. This car had been worked on a lot before, so the studs just all stayed in the block. If your studs come out, if your car is old, I suggest replacing the studs, and I can help you with that too, sourcing some things. So as you see, it's got our spicy brown LS coil setup already on it, so that will just stay. The exhaust manifold is off. We pulled off this side of the setup because we're going to be running an intercooler or boost charge piping into that. This port here will need to get plugged. This port here, this line here that is currently connected to our breather on the valve cover, that will also need to get plugged as well because it'd be a huge vacuum leak, and we'll explain that a little bit more in the install video, but just some little things to check out. So next step, start putting some new parts on. One thing we didn't really talk about is you do have to have an oil drain coming back to the oil pan or on the side of the block or one of many other spots. This car, we had the engine out and we put an oil drain in before the engine went back in. So you might need to drop the oil pan or however you decide to get the oil back into the engine. Again, let us know, we can help you with that too. All right, so thanks for tuning in. Next week, we'll be installing everything, showing you how that goes together and explaining a lot along the way of how the turbo setup works, what parts do what, and what actually goes into the whole setup. So until next week, if you enjoy a sandwich this week, give a little to your dog. Have a good day, everybody. I'm Jake.